Micah sucks, and we all know that, but I want to talk specifically about the ways that he hurts the people in the gang when he's communicating with them. This isn't going to get into, like, the entire overarching story of the second game or, like, the way that he contributes to the gang's downfall. I just specifically want to talk about, like, the arguments or, like, interactions that he has with the people in the game all the way up until, like, the beginning of it. Micah is an asshole. And I have a lot of feelings about the way that he's written. I think he's written to be a bad guy, and he is not given very many redeeming qualities of, like, aside from that. He is an asshole, and that is his point in the story. He is meant to be somebody that we hate. That's why he has so many bad traits and pretty much no redeeming ones. Again, I have a lot of thoughts about that, like, in and of itself, but I think because of that, it's very evident in the way that he communicates with the people in this gang. A lot of these people sort of see each other as found family, and yes, they're gonna have moments where they tussle and fight and they don't get along, but for the most part, obviously, especially beginning the second game, they are very close-knit, and they care a lot about each other. Micah has only been here for 6 months, though. And compare that with Charles, who's been there for 6 months. Charles is pretty well integrated. Micah is still struggling to get along with people because he sucks. When he insults people, when he gets in arguments with people, or even if he's just starting shit just to start it because I guess he's bored, he hits people where he knows it's going to hurt. He brings up their biggest insecurities or, like, the root of some kind of problem they have because he knows that's going to incite the most reaction out of them. When he talks to any one of the Marston family, he's constantly bringing up, like, the problems they have with each other. Like, he'll bring up how John and Jack just don't have a relationship, or Abigail used to be a prostitute. When he talks to Grimshaw, even though he weirdly flirts with her a few times, which I also think is kind of gross, he will bring up her beauty or her physical appearance because he knows that she's really insecure about that. And of course we see it later on in the game after Arthur gets sick. Micah starts calling him Black Lung and starts making fun of his inability to fight or the ways that Arthur's weak and he can't do as much anymore because he knows that that really hurts Arthur. And then in the case of, like, Lenny and Charles, for example, he's just racist. I don't have to explain why that sucks. He knows these people's biggest insecurities and he uses that as, like, fighting words almost. And it's one thing to, like, hear how, like, Arthur antagonizes people, for example, and I think depending on who you antagonize, it can be seen as very playful, like, not very serious, or almost in, like, a familial kind of way, because, you know, it fits. And even if you're doing full low honor, or you want to believe Arthur's some terrible, awful person, again, for the most part, when he antagonizes people, it's not that serious most of the time. Micah, on the other hand, he's just making people pissed off. It's just kind of another example of how crazy it is that Dutch really believed in Micah and gave him the benefit of the doubt way more times than he probably ever deserved. Like, I'm sure these people were complaining, and he probably heard them arguing a ton, and he still thought, I believe in Micah, though, he's fine. Just, you know, it's just something to add to that pile of, like, craziness.